Guys, welcome back to another episode of the League Crawler Podcast. We are at episode 10. I am your host, Mostradamus. We have a very fun show today. Let's get some League Crawler news out of the way, and then let's get into this interview. There's a graphics contest going on over at Twitter and on the League Crawler site. Twitter is where I get a lot of my information from League Crawler. If you guys aren't logged in there, check that out. It is down to the final two users. We have Soden Bowl versus Da Dynasty or DA Dynasty. Apologize, guys. I'm not sure exactly how to say that, but their graphic work is incredible. Get over there, get your votes in. Let's see who's going to get the bragging rights for this round, and then we'll get another one going. I know some of you guys asked for another one that you had a little bit more time to prepare, but still a lot of fun. Get over there and check that out. The other big piece of League Crawler news. League Crawler now has a full-time writer. His name is Brennan Turner. He goes by Queen Humble. He has two articles right now over on the League Crawler site. Both are about Apex. One is about how the shield is now impacting the game, and the other one is what is the best character to use at the moment. I'm not an Apex gamer. I don't know a lot about it, but I do know that the articles were incredibly written. He's very passionate about what he does. And from one member of the League Crawler team to another, Brennan, I'd like to welcome you. And I'm excited to see some of the stuff that you got going on. Nate over at OMFL has been posting some videos on his YouTube. The thumbnails, you guys, are hilarious. He's got one that's got like a baby that's crying. He's got one that somebody's blowing up. I mean, what Nate's doing is awesome. It's innovative. It is engaging. It gets people involved. His streams are awesome. If you go in there and you type and you send some messages, he will talk to you through his stuff. Get over there, check out what Nate's doing. It's a lot of fun. The last piece of news that is on the site. Now, if you guys want your news on the site, or if you want your news read on this podcast, make sure that you are posting news. The other piece of news that is on the site right now is that there is a broadcaster named CG, and he has now become the official broadcaster and play-by-play guy for a league called SPA. The games are going to be every Saturday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. They will be doing basketball, football, potentially baseball, other games coming along. But he is doing that, and he is also now sponsored by Shatter Creations, which takes us into our first sponsor for the show. Shatter Creations is a site that you guys can go over to. If you are a streamer or a content creator, they will help you with graphics. They'll help you with logos. They will help you with intro videos. They will help you with cutting content. They will help you with just about anything you need as a content creator. That is shattercreations with a Z.com. Having said all that, we have a very, very fun episode today. I've been looking at these guys' website for over the last week and a half. I've been on their Twitter. I've been watching some of their streams. I'm not sure if they even know that, but I've been doing some of my research. We have Brian James on from Madden Underground. Brian, how are you doing today?
I'm great. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, man. For those of you that don't know this, can you give our listeners an explanation of what is Madden Underground?
Madden Underground is somewhat of a platform for players trying to break into the pro circuit in regards to playing competitive Madden. We have more of a elite class. You know, we have a sim league, but we more so cater to the competitive players. We have various prize pools and things like that to get players prepared to make that leap to compete in the EA events.
Now, one of the things you just mentioned was you have a sim league, you also have a pro league. Before we get too far into this, can you just explain to us what the difference between those two are?
Well, the sim league is basically sim style rules, punt on fourth down, just the basics of simulation style football. You play realistically, not like you would play in a ranked match. The game you would probably get in a ranked match, but something in simulation, more realistic. The stuff that you probably would see on Sunday.
Gotcha.
But our pro leagues are a little bit different. It's more so just anything goes, win by any means necessary, and we have certain guidelines and rules, but they're little to no gameplay rules. So as far as play calling and things like that, but it's more so to get you prepared for the leap to try to compete in the MCS events in regards to competing in the EA events and things like that.
Now, you're going to know a lot more about those events than what I do. I'm very novice when it comes to that, so we're going to get into that. But what my first question with Madden Underground is exactly how did you guys get this started? Like, what was the thing that happened that made you go, this is going to be a thing?
Okay, well, I've been playing Madden since I was about 7 years old. I'm 35 now. So um, the thing about it was I jumped into the competitive tournament circuit when I was about 15, 14 or 15.
Mm-hmm.
And there isn't many circuits like that left in regards to camaraderie and players being able to have a great, everybody knowing each other, everybody knowing each other's name, and competing on a high level, and things like that, where it was the brotherhood. And it was like I wanted to create something like that for my friends and other players to join in and play with us, and we did so. We were able to be featured on the NFL Network, NFL.com, and things like that, and it's been growing, and it's been a beautiful thing. So I think that's the most special part of Madden Underground to me, is the camaraderie aspect and everybody being able to compete at a high level, but at the same time have like a brotherhood feel to it. And it's not many leagues or platforms like that where everybody feels like they know each other and kind of know each other, and they're able to just reach out to anybody that they're playing against, or anybody that wants to, or that's maybe viewing the competitiveness and wants to join in and just be able to reach out and compete with us. So that's something that, as I feel, is special,
Yeah,
in a sense, to me.
that's awesome, man. I think when communities are more about the community and less about the game, I think that's what really makes communities thrive. But getting into some of what Madden does tournament wise, I know a lot of our users don't know it, because a lot of our users are coming looking for these sim leagues to play in or different leagues to play in. So getting into some of these tournament things is some great insight for what we're doing. So when I look back at the past for what Madden's done, I mean, when we talked, you said you're 35. I'm about the same age. I'm assuming you remember stuff like the Madden bus and all those different things that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
For all the hate that EA gets, it does seem like they're very innovative when it comes to how they do their tournaments. I don't see a lot of stuff with what 2K used to do. Some of these shooter tournaments remind me of the same thing, but still, Madden had a bus you could travel around. They had guys staying together. The Madden house, all these different things that they did at one point. It just seems that they're very innovative. From somebody that's been a part of that community, what is the behind the scenes of that all like? Like, do you guys get a chance to interact on a pretty consistent basis? How are some of those things formed? And I'll have more questions after. Like, what does EA do to get you guys all involved?
Well, what as far as the Madden bus go, I personally didn't qualify to make it on the Madden bus.
Yeah, me neither.
But but a few of our guys that are involved with Madden Underground did. We have like players like C-Jack who made it onto the Madden bus and was able to be, Action Jackson, be able to compete
Right.
at a high level on the Madden bus. Guys like Reality, who's like an older brother to me, made it onto the Madden bus. And he was extremely competitive on the Madden bus as well. He was actually on the first episode, the first series of when it first started of the Madden bus. So that's a great thing too.
That's crazy you mentioned that, and I don't want to cut you off, but I actually just went back and watched most of the first season of the Madden bus because we had Shotmaster on a few weeks ago.
Okay.
He was a part of that Madden bus. So the name.
Yeah, definitely Shotmaster too.
Yeah, mentioning actually are popping out to me. This is awesome. Okay, so with some of the stuff that they're doing, what are tournaments like right now with COVID and how all these things are doing that Madden is partaking in?
Well, everything's remote now because of COVID, and I actually prefer it that way. I actually like it because you're able, like we just finished competing for the Madden Challenge. We had a few guys make it through to the top 64, and it was probably the most competitive, but at the same time the most organized event that I've ever participated in. The Madden Challenge that took place last weekend, and it was extremely competitive. It was extremely organized. They had a perfect matchmaking system that they had in regards to the round robin part of the tournament. The brackets were well organized. They started. It was to start at 10 a.m. It started on time at 10 a.m. The games got to going, and they finished at the exact time they planned on finishing. So I thought that was amazing. It's rare that tournaments of that caliber start and finish at the time that they say they're going to start and finish. So I thought that was amazing that they were able to keep that organized in a way and efficient enough to start and finish at the time that they said.
Yeah, no, that's awesome that EA is able to do some of that stuff. And again, EA gets a ton of hate for some of the stuff that they do, but I do think the way that they do tournaments, it should be applauded. I love the way that EA kind of handles some of that stuff. Now, having said that, though, when we watched a lot of Madden 20 for their tournaments, and this is just my opinion, this isn't the opinion, and it could be the opinion of more people, but it's my opinion. I felt like the game catered to people that would only like to call like one or two plays, and it was some plays that were kind of broken. Like I think one guy won a tournament without even throwing a pass ball.
Yeah, that was disgusting.
Yeah, I don't think that's the way the EA intended that to be, but that's just the kind of the game that they created last year. This year, I haven't heard as much about tournaments. Can you explain to me how the gameplay is looking in some of these tournaments?
Okay, well, the thing about the tournaments, the mode dictates the gameplay.
Right.
So if you're playing like if MUT based tournaments, you have cards with the abilities. I know a lot of you guys are franchise guys.
Right.
So the the impact of having certain abilities and that how they come into play as far as everybody wants the hot route master with the quarterback or the gunslinger with the quarterback and things like that. Now with MUT, you're able to pick the abilities that you want for the particular players. You're able to have 4 abilities on both sides of the ball, and you're able to dictate what players have what abilities, and you're able to play to those strengths. So that normally dictates how the gameplay is played. So when you watch last year with the running and things like that, most players played a pass-based style, played a pass-based offense, and Joke was able to run the ball. He picked a team where he had the best blockers on the game. I think he had a punter or a kicker at quarterback.
Yes.
And he had the best running backs in the game. And 9 times out of 10, when you go into a tournament like that of that caliber, people expect to see a lot of passing. And he came out running, and it worked out to his advantage because nobody was prepared for that game plan, because everybody is normally used to the meta. The meta is what basically everybody's running at that particular time. And Joe came out with a unique game plan, pounded the ball, hardly ever passed because nobody was prepared for that old line that he put together. And he was able to be successful because nobody was prepared. Everybody's playing the pass because they're accustomed to the meta and things like that. So when you guys, as us watching as viewers, we're like, oh, why is he just running the ball and not passing and just running the same play over? But in a tournament of that caliber, when you got $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 on the line, you're not going to change up anything if it's working for you.
Yeah, no, you're going to do what you got to win. And what you said was hilarious because you're right, and I'd forgotten about that. He did have a punter or a kicker, I think, in a quarterback, only for, I think it was left-handed runs so that he would hand the ball off faster. Like, you do what you got to do to win the game, and kudos to anybody that can go do some of those things. Because you do have to find out how to win. So I'm not one of those guys that hate guys that break down the game. If anything, watching those kind of guys help me as a commissioner of a sim league figure out what we don't want to allow,
Exactly.
So I feel like it has its positives and negatives. As somebody that with Madden Underground, you guys have a sim and a pro league. Can you tell me what the biggest difference is for you? Because it seems like you would be a fan of both.
I love, me personally, I love sim play. I love playing sim plays because the simple fact that you're gonna get, I like to be able to game plan scheme the X's and O's, breaking down an offense, being able to watch a Twitch stream and then go in the lab and break down the X's and O's and come out with a game plan to actually combat what it is that you're doing. And the difference in sim is basically you're gonna get more game plan. You're gonna play against more game plan scheming guys like that. Guys that aren't, they can play with more than one play. They're not, I'm not saying that pro guys can't play with, they can actually play. I had a lot of pro guys play in the sim league before, and they didn't have a problem with playing by the rules or anything like that. And they were actually they were still elite players. But the thing is, when you play a more sim style base, I just feel like the game is a bit more fun that way. It's something that gives you an opportunity to just maximize the playbook, whatever playbook it is that you're playing with. I like to play with the Titans playbook. I'm a Titan fan. And when you play in a sim league, you're forced to maximize check out every formation, check out every play, because sometimes you can't run the same play repeatedly. And when you go into a pro type setting, if you come from that background, you kind of know what works against certain things. So if somebody is only running one play and you've seen that play before, you're able to adjust, now. But on the flip side with the pro guys know every money play. They know every play that they know every YouTube glitch. They know every YouTube flip, route flip, motion, all those different things that in sim leagues that kind of drive sim players crazy. But they can if I've seen pro players play in a sim setting, and I've seen sim players actually go into a pro type environment and flourish as well. But the main difference is probably just the play calling. You might see a guy in single back, a 2 tight end set. You'll never see that in pro. So that's in sim. In sim, you might see a twins I formation set, and that might be a base formation for somebody in a sim league. But in pro league, you'll never see that formation be used because it's not consistent with the meta. It doesn't go hand in hand with everybody's running on the pro circuit. And it may work for you to a certain extent, but eventually you're going to get into a situation where you do have to pass. And when certain abilities aren't coming to play, like the one step aheads and the lurks and the film studies and all those things like that. That's if you're playing with abilities in your leagues, or even if you're not, certain things come into play, and then players are, more familiar with certain things by the time they make those adjustments and things like that.
Yeah, no, it's a great observation. When you're getting this, before we get any further, guys, I do want to make sure that we get their Twitch, YouTube, and all this stuff kind of out. For Twitter, go over to UG Madden. That is at UG Madden. That's Madden Underground. Their website is maddenunderground.com. Twitch, I did not find that to pull it up. Do you guys have a Twitch that we can promote?
Yes, Twitch /Madden Underground.
Okay, it's easy to remember. Easy. If we go over to this website, one of the things that kind of blew me away is how much was done. Now, when I sit down with a lot of like commissioners, because you guys do have a sim league, really the websites or all that stuff is based on the franchise, the stats, and all those kind of stuff. You guys have news articles about just Madden in general, all these different kind of things. How did the website all get started? Like where did that initial idea kind of go, and where is the website going in the future?
Well, I designed the website and I put up most of the content. But I have a lot of contributors and things like that. But the idea of the website came about with just guys wanting to giving the guys that play the game in our leagues and our tournaments and things like that, just a platform to be seen. Like we have like a lot of guys want that notoriety for themselves. Like they want to be seen, they want to be heard, they want to talk trash and things like that. And at the particular time when we created the website, it was a springboard for a lot of the competitive players to get their names out there. And that's what we've been using it for thus far is basically if you can win in our tournaments that we throw or host, if you can win in our leagues that we host, 9 times out of 10, by the time that we're done with league play and you go into tournament play, you're ready to go. You're ready to compete at a high level. So that's what we've been using our platform for, is basically becoming a springboard to launch players into the competitive circuit. We had a player by the name of VA Dimes and B-Guard. These guys have played in live events on TV, so these are some of the success stories we've had. Just a lot of different players. We've had Serious Mo playing tournaments with us. We had W playing certain tournaments that we've hosted before and things like that. Just certain players that that you may be familiar with. They've all at some point in time played in either an event that we've hosted or an event that we've co-hosted and things like that over the years. So a lot of, like I said, we've been just basically using our platform as a launching pad for gamers or competitive gamers or just Madden players that want to compete at a high level. to get their name out there and get a little notoriety, so that they're on they're acknowledged by the pro players and the EAs of companies and things like that. So if you're out there trying to get a sponsorship and we do an article on you, or we feature you, or we interview you, we bring you on our podcast as well, which also can catch us on Wednesdays, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern.
That was a good plug.
On our Twitch channel. So yeah, and we just want to it's not about Madden Underground. It's about what Madden Underground can do for the community and help the players out and get them where they want to go. Like, a lot of people watch the Twitch and they watch the competitive events and they don't necessarily know how to get there. And we try to, provide that information, keep everybody in the know about what's going on in the community and when events are about to start and things like that. Because we had about, I would say, about 30 guys play in the Madden Classic and the Madden Challenge, over the last 2 weeks. And it was something that we were actually proud of, because it was like, I even played myself, and it was just something that I could be proud of, because it was like, all right, we informed these people that would probably or otherwise never play any type of events, and they were able to participate and they have fun doing it, and the events were cheap and it cost a lot of money. And our events are never cheap. Most of the events we do are free. So if you guys ever want to just try your hand at a tournament, just come over to Madden Underground. If we have a tournament available, listed, jump in and see how you do, see how you fare. Because you never know. You might be better than what you think you are. You might see these guys on TV like they're running cheese and garbage, and then you play against it and you're able to pop it. And it's like, you find out like, oh, I can actually beat these guys. I can actually pop these guys. These guys aren't what I think they are. They're just playing on a platform that I haven't had access to yet. So that's what I love about the Madden Underground element, is we're able to get the average Joe who nobody's heard of to play in a tournament with maybe a pro player that you watch on Twitch or ESPN when they have the big Madden events, and you're able to say, hey, I played against that guy and I beat him, or I played against that guy and he beat me by a little bit, but hey, if I had practiced or played as much as he did, because that's always our excuse. If I played as much as him, I would have beat him, so.
No, I agree with you, man, especially having talked to all these different leagues and all these people out there. I think every league out there has like the one or two guys that are in their league that you're like, this is our guy. Like
that's your guy.
For us, it's a dude named Trey. Trey Black is a dude that beats everybody. He's constantly going like 15-1, winning Super Bowls. So the fact that you guys have like tournaments and stuff is a great avenue for leagues like what we do to like promote some of our best players and like go up against others. So you do have something very unique here. And guys, I know that some of you are on their website, some of you are just listening to this. I want to kind of give you a rundown of what their website looks like. It's incredibly well done. You've got graphics, you've got visuals and stuff all over the place. It's got a scroll bar that's moving across. You got a spot to register. You have a place that has leagues, and it's got 4 leagues and a spot to register. Now, 2 of these leagues are pro leagues. One's on Xbox, one's on PlayStation 4. You also have a sim league underground, and then you have UMPL. What is UMPL?
UMPL is another sim league that reached out. They actually participate in every tournament, and that's one of the reasons that I actually wanted to feature the UMPL is that when we have an invitational tournament or we have a crew versus crew tournament, they are always the first league to sign up, and they have like almost all 32 guys participate, and that's something that I love, because when you say tournament, people automatically assume it's going to be cheesy and things like that. And they're a sim league, and they hopped into it, and they were competitive. Like, some of the guys hopped into the tournament and was like, oh, you know what? I want to try my luck at competing in one of the pro leagues or one of you guys' sim leagues to see how I fare. And they come in and they do great jobs. We had a guy by the name of Mike Wright that came from the UMPL, and he came in and made it to the the AFC Championship twice in our sim league. And he was one of the guys that was dominating in the UMPL, and he came over, and that translated into success in one of our leagues and in our tournaments. So we encourage anybody that may be listening and just want to get a taste of that get their competitive juices flowing in regards to tournament play or anything like that. We'll have we're actually getting ready to start our fantasy league and our tournament season. So we'll have things that involve the yard, We'll have things that involve just league versus league tournament play. We'll give everybody an opportunity, and there won't be any registration fees or anything like that. So it's free to join, and you get an opportunity to win $100 or a couple $100 and things like that, and you walk away with a cash prize and possibly a trophy. So I definitely encourage anybody that's tuned in is just to check it out. We'll post things on our Twitter. And again, we post all the news and acknowledge all the news on our podcast on Wednesdays, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern on Madden Underground's Twitch, and things like that. So I encourage everybody to come in and participate. You too, man. If you feeling froggy, come in, jump in the tournament, get your feet wet, and see how you feel about it. You come back and talk about your experience in one of the tournaments.
Ribbit, bro. I'll be there. Okay, so getting into some of this other stuff, before we go any further, one of the things you mentioned earlier was that Madden Underground is more of a community-based system. It's not just something just for one or two people, correct?
Exactly.
And you're going to see why Matt even allows me to do this show, is very similar to our second sponsor. Our sponsor is SpaceTradr.com. Space Tradr is a site that guys can go over to, and they can take their business ideas and they can say, like, hey, I have this thing that I'm trying to do. I'm trying to build my business, but I'm lacking in this other area. Maybe I can go over to SpaceTradr.com and find somebody that can use my skill set and I can use their skill set, and we can both build our businesses together. So let's say I start a new business. I don't have any office furniture, but there's a guy over there that he has no website, but he builds office furniture. Maybe I can build him a website and he can send me over a desk or something. There's certain things you can do over at SpaceTradr.com to kind of grow your businesses together. Get over there, check them out, guys. If you have ways that you can kind of help your community or help other communities, it's a great avenue to use. Huge props over to SpaceTradr.com. Do you see now why Matt allows me to do this job?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I see it.
Yep. Okay, so getting into piggybacking off what you said, when you're looking for gamers, there's a lot of people out there. There's a lot of guys that complain about the state of EA. There's a lot of guys that love the things that they're doing. When you look at gamers that are setting themselves up to be potential pro players, I'll ask the question later on how to become a pro player, but the very basics, what is the type of gamer you are looking for?
Just like I said, we're not looking for the best players. We're not looking for the best players. We're just looking for guys that want to compete. And that's the main thing. Like, if it's not about winning the fight, it's actually about getting into the fight and just being competitive, or just having the heart to try to compete, consistently. We have guys that join the pro league, go 0-16. And we love those guys for the simple fact that, one, they always have a great pick, and sometimes they're willing to trade that pick. And then two, they have the heart to even step into the ring and compete, man. And that's what it's about. Most of the time, it's about just having heart. And I respect and love those type of guys, like guys that come in and want to just compete, and they're willing to get their face kicked in week after week. But at the end of the day, they find out when they go back into whatever elements they came from to play, they realize that they've actually become better players.
Yeah.
So they become better players. So they're like, okay, well, I'll try it again. And then the next season they go, maybe they win 6 games, but they progressively get better. And that's the thing. You have to. We look for guys that are willing to get better, willing to compete. That just have that competitive spirit. And if you have a competitive spirit, yeah, you automatically qualify. There's no criteria as far as what's a pro player, what's not a pro player. It's just you willing to take that chance to compete on that level. And that's what I consider somebody that's willing to compete at that level for the money and the prizes and things like that, and not have any fear, not complain, not cry every week and things like that. Just have heart.
No. Things that you mentioned right there is perfect for my next question. You actually helped set me up. Matt's going to give you my show. And what that is, what you said, guys that don't complain, guys that don't do this. One of the things that we see a lot in today's day and age with Madden is people complaining about the state of the game. Things that they should be sim, but this doesn't look sim, and this isn't this. What is your opinion right now on the state of the game of Madden, how it's playing on the field?
That's a tricky question because some days, because I'm gonna keep it all the way real.
Yep.
EA does a lot of ghost patching. They'll post, sometimes they'll post the patch notes, sometimes they won't. And one thing that bothers me a lot, one of my personal things that's bothering me personally is the fact of the quarterback play. The quarterback play changed a lot, I would say, in the last week or two. Like you couldn't. There was a time where you could never underthrow Tyreek Hill.
Mm-hmm.
Now that seems like Tyreek Hill is too fast to throw the deep ball to, because he outruns the deep ball, And sometimes you'll have a step or 3 or 4 on the DB, and you throw it out deep, and Tyreek Hill he's beating him by a mile, and the ball just doesn't reach Tyreek Hill. And that was something that I had an issue with. But as far as just people complaining about the game, I get it. But what I always tell people is there's no other football game out yet. We have nothing else to play. You're going to buy the game again next year, regardless of how it plays. You're going to play in the league again next year, because you're not playing. At this point, we're not playing the game because of the game. We're playing the game because, 1, we love football. We all love football. 2, we all love the people that we play the game with.
Yep.
It's not even about the game anymore. It's not about the game. They could put out a game with one team on it, and we'll probably play it because there's no other football game, simulation style football game out, and we're still gonna want to compete with the guys that we compete with. It has nothing at this point. It has nothing to do with EA. We're all playing the game because we love it. We're all playing it for the love of football, for the love of the camaraderie that we have in our respective leagues that we play in, and things like that. It's not about EA. It's not about we can complain about that. That's our prerogative to do so. But at the end of the day, we're not really playing the game because of EA. We're playing the game because we love the game, and that's what I always try to make people remember and realize. Like, yo, things are gonna happen. And Madden has had flaws since the beginning of time, and we've just adjusted to those flaws. So it's like we can complain about it, because sometimes it's extremely fun to complain. I love complaining. I'm one of those guys that complain a lot too. But at the end of the day, we're gonna play the game regardless if we're playing by ourselves, regardless if we're playing with our kids or our friends or our leagues and things like that. We're gonna play the game. So we might as well just keep that in mind. Like, we're not playing for EA. We're not playing for the quality of the game. We're playing because we like playing with our brothers, So that's my take on it.
At the end of the day, you're 100% right. I buy the game because of my community. If I didn't have the community that I played with, I probably would never buy another version of Madden, because I enjoy Madden, and I don't want to give it a ton of hate. And I do think that they've made improvements year by year. There are things that I see that do get better. I just don't think it's a title that's worth an every year purchase. I just don't think that there's enough they can do in 6, because it's 6 months of building a new game, and then it's 6 months of updating the game, and then it's 6 months of building the next game, and then 6 months of updating that game. So I just don't think it's enough time in between the yearly release for them to really put out a product that's different. But my community is absolutely worth $60 to me, so that's why I continue to purchase the game. Now, one of the things that you did bring up is you said there are no competitors for Madden, and a part of the show that I enjoy is being able to organically go off into new directions. Have you had a chance to listen to our podcast last week?
No, I haven't had a chance to check it out yet.
So last week I had on the developer for Access, gaming, or the league, or the football game Access, right? They are not at the moment graphically competitive with a game like EA, but they are getting to that point. Franchise mode is much more in depth. Like, it's not even a comparable statement at this point. Their franchise mode is significantly more in depth. There's communities out there right now that have over 500 people as a part of their community, and they all represent one player. So they update their guys. The game doesn't have real players in them, but they get to control their own players. They get to take their guys into free agency. They sim their games so they can see how they all play. It's an incredible thing that these guys are doing. But Access for 21 is going to have a major animation and graphical update. So it looks like there is potential for a competitor to eventually be there. So just something to be aware of in the future.
Definitely. And that's AXIS, right? Right. As far
as for anybody listening, go out and check them out. It's an incredible guy. The team that they got over there is awesome. Listen to last week's podcast. They get some really, really cool info. I'm very encouraged with what they've got going on.
Awesome.
Getting in.
I'm looking forward to it.
Question with you guys is, let's say right now I'm sitting here and you mentioned something like you can compete with guys you may not think you can compete with. You just got to practice a little more. You got to do this. If I'm sitting here and I'm like, you know what? I want to become a pro gamer in this Madden circuit. What would be your best advice for me to start that journey?
I would say when Madden 22 comes out, or maybe this year when we do our closeout tournament, jump into a tournament and get your feet wet, and maybe you say, okay, I can compete. And when you compete in a tournament, you're gonna meet a lot of the guys from the leagues that we host, or the leagues that we that compete, or say some of your leagues jump into the tournament, and people, just a random guy may say, oh, you know what, you're able to network and things like that as well. So just the networking experience, the competitive element, as far as getting a taste of seeing where you're just using the tournament as a measuring stick to see, okay, if these guys are the pro guys, or these guys are the guys that are the best in their respective leagues. Well, let's see where I stand. And you go in and you win 3 games. You make it to the Sweet 16. And you say, oh, well, I made it pretty far. I played some of the best. I was able to compete. And then when I lost, I didn't get blown out, So I actually thought, when you lose certain games, you feel like you could have won that game had you done a few things differently. So you don't walk away defeated. You feel like, oh, I just need to improve on this area, that area. Then I would say probably maybe join the league, join a pro league or a sim league. Start off with the sim league, because a lot of our sim league guys transition into pro leagues players. So that's usually a great landing spot too for guys that's trying to get into the pro circuit, is to join our sim league, get your feet wet over there, and see if you want to take it to another level. See if you're competitive here, you're winning. You may want to say, okay, I'm dominating in the sim league. Let me jump into the pro league and see if I'm able to do the same thing there. And that's how it normally goes. And tournaments, leagues, and then you make that leap into the pro circuit. You join an MCS event after that, and you see how far you go in that. And then normally by that time, you've got the bug, you're addicted, and then you can't stop. Right. You can't stop there. So that's what I would recommend.
Let's say right now, listening to you, you've got listeners out there listening to this show, and they go, you know what, Brian, you got me. You hooked me in. I want to do this with you guys. Where is the best place for them to go next? Do they go to the site? Do they go to your Twitter? How do they get in contact with you?
Okay, in most cases you would contact the league. With us, our process is a bit different because we have a screening process. We like to speak with the people that join the league. It's not like a interview. Well, it's kind of an interview where we kind of see what best suits you best on what it is that you do. So I would go to the site, click on register now, the register portion of the site. I would register, and that way, when we have an event, you automatically get the text message letting you know, okay, boom, this event is coming up. There's something you may be privy to. And then as the date gets closer to a league starting or a tournament happening, you'll get a call from one of our representatives, and they'll say, hey, we have this league about to open up. We saw that you registered and you said that you were interested in league play or tournament play, and we're reaching out to see if you wanted to participate. And if so, this is how you can go about doing so. But we have a few questions in regards to you participating. Are you a sim guy? Are you a competitive guy? Are you a guy that looking to get into the competitive scene and things like that? And that way, we're kind of catering to what it is that you want to do, opposed to putting you into a situation where you're like, oh, this isn't what I thought it was, and you don't want to be a part of it anymore. We like to keep the players comfortable playing within their own comfort zone, and then helping them progress and to get into that level of which it may be the competitive level of competitiveness that they're looking for. So that's what I would recommend. I would recommend going to the website, registering, and looking forward to a representative reaching out to you.
All right, man, I'm going to hook you up. Here's how it is, guys. It's MaddenUnderground.com. In the top left corner, it says home. Right next to that says register now. You click that button, it's going to take you to a new page that explains what's going on. At the bottom of that page, they have their Twitter, they have their Facebook, and they have a place you can click that says click here to register now. You click that spot, there's an 8 questionnaire You fill it out. It is very simple. You hit submit. These guys will help you with the rest. It is a very easy process. I don't want to hear any complaints on, well, I didn't know how to do something. Yes, you did. I just went through the whole thing for you. Plugged it. Okay. Last question that I've got for you before we kind of let you break this out is, if I want to start getting better at this game, other than just practicing, I want to go to YouTube. I want to watch some pro players. Who would you say are the top 3 guys that you recommend for me to go start watching right now?
I would say Drini. I would say go watch Drini. I would say go watch Problem. And I would say go watch. I got to throw one of my guys out there, VA Dimes. Go watch VA Dimes. That's they all have unique game styles of play. Problem has a conventional run base, more kind of it's somewhat simulation, but he's still competitive because of his user. Drini, he has the works. He went undefeated in the challenge last weekend. So he's gonna have everything that you want to know that's current. He has all those nuances in his game. And VA Dimes is a student of the game. So I'm gonna say VA Dimes because he has a YouTube channel, so you can go to VA Dimes 540 on YouTube or on Twitch and look him up. He streams, and then the thing about him, he breaks down what it is that he's doing. He's actually, I would say, the most useful tool if you're a new gamer to watch, because he actually walks you through everything that he's doing during the game. And I think that's something new, because most players don't give out their secrets like that, but for some reason he's doing that right now. VA Dimes for sure.
You guys are first. Brian just said VA Dimes is the most useful tool out there. I didn't say it, you did. Brian, it was a pleasure talking to you today, man. I am for sure going to go check out VA, see what he's kind of got going on, see if I can add anything to my game. The website that you guys have is incredible. There is not one piece of what you guys are doing right now that I don't look at and say, man, these guys are passionate for what they do. I mean, that stuff just kind of like oozes out of your guys' Twitter, out of your guys' pages and stuff. Like it's incredible work, man. Congratulations to everything that you're doing. The following, you guys are kind of connecting. You definitely have a follower in me. Take this next however long, plug the things that you want to plug, and then we'll get you out of here, man.
Okay. Thanks again for having me too, by the way. We MaddenUnderground.com. Follow us on Twitch, Twitch.com/Madden Underground. We have a Facebook.com/Madden Underground. You can also follow us on Twitter, UG Madden, because Madden Underground wouldn't fit on the Twitter. So, and check us out every Wednesday, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, for the Madden Underground podcast. We talk about our leagues, the winners, which is VA Dimes just won the last Pro League Super Bowl, and things like that. So make sure you look us up, check us out, and if you have any questions, reach out to myself. I control the UG Madden Twitter, and if you have any questions or game advice you're looking for, you can drop into our podcast and talk to some of the players, some of the Pro League players and things like that, and see what happens.
Oh, man. Brian, thank you for your time today. Guys, that is Madden Undergrounds. It is highly recommended you guys check them out. Again, Brian, thank you for your time. Good luck to everything you guys got going forward. Guys, that was the League Crawler Podcast, episode 10. We will see you next week.